a guideline that the Metro Design says is that in the panorama view, try to keep the different screens maximum to 5. If you make a panorama that's too long, the user might get lost somewhere in the middle and don't know how to get back to the start. And the same thing with the pivot. Try to keep it around 5 till 7. Otherwise, it'll never end. You just keep panning and never get back to the first view. So even though you have the possibility to have as many as possible, try to keep it down to 5 to 7 views. Another guideline is to trust the hardware. Every phone, no matter what the model, will always have 3 hardware buttons and only 3 hardware buttons at the bottom. And the first one is the back button, and then the middle one is the Windows, and then the search. And the back button should always take you backwards 1 step in your app. And the Windows button will always take you to the start screen, to your live tiles, and the search will always take you to Bing search. So the guideline is to don't try to hijack these buttons to do something else, because that might be a showstopper when you try to submit it to Marketplace. And with the help of the hardware back button, that also means that you don't have to implement the back button in your own app, because that's what the back button is for. So that also save you some screen space that you don't have to save for a back button.
I think that one interesting thing we're talking about during the break is that when you're developing your app, you can do anything through it, but the showstopper, as you said, is when you submit it to the marketplace.
Yes.
So like the lecture we had yesterday, they were talking that they had to jailbreak the iPhones to be able to do something. With Windows Phone, you won't need to do that. Anything is possible, but you won't be able to submit it to the marketplace.
Yeah, as a developer, you sign up for a developer account, and then you can unlock your phone. So you don't have to jailbreak it. So you can unlock your phone and put any programs that you developed onto it without having to submit it first to Marketplace. So if you want to make an app just to share amongst your friends, that's all you have to do. So you don't have to submit it to Marketplace if you don't want to go to scale and you don't want to make money, become a millionaire.
You can also, as part of this, you can also submit your app privately for beta testers. So if you develop an app, you can easily push it out and invite these guys in this room to try it and test it and so forth without publishing. So that's all. Not only on your own phone, but also on other phones.
There's many people that make a lot more money by ad-driven. They have an ad version and a paid version, and it's very easy to make a trial and the regular one in the same app, so you don't have to publish different versions of the apps. So many people have like these easy, shoot marble games or whatever, and there's a tiny ad strip at the top, and those developers make a lot of money from their ad-driven apps. But preferably, we'd rather have really awesome apps that people pay a lot of money for. But I'm just saying that the choice is there.
Yeah. And as students, you don't even have to pay the registration fee to get a developer account, and you can publish apps for free. So unless you're doing something that's not within the guidelines, I don't see anything preventing you from publishing to Marketplace, unless you're doing like hijacking the hardware buttons just to see if it works. Those won't be accepted in Marketplace. But otherwise, I think it's good if you publish things in Marketplace. It shows that we have active student developers in Sweden, which is a cool thing. It's also good marketing for you guys as app makers to be coming from Sweden and have that reputation already. Yes, animations. You can use animations to show interactions. And you can also use animation to delight. This is an example of using animation within the app to make it more alive. But as I mentioned before, try to keep it not too much, because it might get annoying in the long run. But you can use animation to make things more interesting. Just don't overdo it. We also have accent colors, which Peter showed earlier. And the accent color doesn't only changes the color of your live tile. You can actually pick up the accent color within your app. You can, for example, say that all the text within your app should use accent color. So depending on what the user likes, that color will be reflected within your app. And when you're creating your app tile, one tip I can give you is to use transparency. So the actual color will shine through your app. For example, here, they've used for the glass and the bar in the title, they've used transparency, so the actual color will shine through depending on what accent color the user picks. So that makes your app sort of mixed into the live view much more, the start view much more. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the experience that your phone app should provide. Well, it's all about experience at the end. And Windows Phone, the Metro guidelines believe that there's 3 important threads that they believe that every app should tie to at least one of them. A great app would probably tie to all 3, but a good app would tie to at least one of them. And the 3 threads are personal, relevant, and connected. With personal, they mean that every person that uses your app should feel like this app was made for me. It could be like they can enter their credential and have their settings saved so they don't have to change things every time they go in there. So they can customize the app to suit their needs. With relevant, it means that it should know where you are, it should know what you care about and who you care about. So maybe it will show you things that are relevant depending on where location-wise you are, geographical-wise, by using geolocation, for example. Yeah.
Is like your own apps or like other apps allowed to utilize the social graph from Facebook, like use the knowledge about your contacts and people?
Yeah, Facebook has an API that's open, so you can use that in your app.
But can you use it like is Windows Phone providing that API like directly, or you have to go through Facebook?
Yeah, you go through Facebook. So you add that whatever network you want to connect your app to, you go to that network provider and use their APIs. So with relevant, you should know perhaps where you are, and with connected, it should be social. For example, tie in Facebook, so you can know just not only where you are, but also where your friends are, so you can get recommendation from your friends and stuff like that.
Actually, also connected, I mean, means a lot of things. I'm connected to the internet at all times, if possible, right? So this should be a very connected device, i.e., the optimal cloud client, in a sense. Connected to the stuff that sits in the phone, connected to your position, your location. So the connectedness, I mean, use all the sensors and all the opportunities that are available in the device to connect it to different things. I think that's an important principle to make the most out of what's in the platform and in the hardware. Yeah.
So just as an example, the start screen is very personal. You can pin whatever you want there, and you can arrange the orders and the colors. And let's say we take a weather application. It can be very relevant. So whenever you enter the application, it will show you the weather based on your current location. So that means that it's aware of where you are. If we take the same example, it could also show you a view of the weather based on your friends' locations. So somehow it's connected with your social network. So those are a couple of examples how to make something personal, relevant, and connected. There are some prerequisites in order to create a great experience. First of all, you might have to understand your user, what they want. And you can do that by conducting different sort of research or surveys. There's different kinds of methods into collecting those things. And something that the Metro team uses a lot is creating personas. I think perhaps you guys are familiar with that. So you create a persona that can, how do you say, represent your main audience. And maybe you create several personas, but you always make sure to prioritize them. So when you come to the design, when you have to make a design decision, you can go back to your persona, and depending on the priority, you can make the right decision that will help target your main audience. And the other prerequisite is when it comes to Windows Phone, is to allow the user to live in the present. And this is different when it comes to games, because when you're making a game, you sort of want to pull the user into the whole experience and want the user to forget about what's around them. But if you're making an app, usually the user wants to go in and use something and then go back to reality. So that's something that Windows Phone wants to make possible.